If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, 1/4 of $1, we passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation, you get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
No, this just kind of looks like a wall of people on Twitter who are about to explain politics to me.
It was dangerous. It's lethal. It's a bit like the beef Notorious B.I.G. used to rap about when he said, beef is when your moms ain't safe up in the streets. Beef is when I see you, guaranteed to be in ICU. Well, when COVID sees you, you can end up in ICU. Maybe not the same rate as Biggie's beef, but that's the point about risk. You don't want to test these streets ending up in the ICU.
Under our forfeiture statutes, you can, the government can, take everything you own, everything from your car to your house, your bank account, not merely what they confiscate in terms of the dollars from the transaction that you just got caught engaging in. They can take everything.
So
is that a gong on a drone?
We have a gentleman over here that's like is trying to be cute. So I guess that's one of your friends. But anyway, my point is this now. The same thing.
Mark and Craig, Pop Brothers at Law. We've been warning people, if you are working for an unlicensed dispensary, an illegal dispensary, and it gets raided, you need to shut the fuck up. If you shut the fuck up, you have a good chance that we can make the case go away. Case in point, 3 employees of an illegal shop were busted during a raid. 2 of them said, oh, I'm just volunteering here. The 3rd guy shut the fuck up. And the DA did not prosecute the guy who shut the fuck up. They can't prove what you were doing there. If you're a customer, patient, walked in to go to the bathroom, they don't know. You got to shut the fuck up, and it's Shut the Fuck Up Friday, so review the script. What do you say when the cop first pulls you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when he keeps asking questions?
Not discussing my day.
And they ask more questions?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoke the 5th.
And then what do? You
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up Friday. Never answer questions when the cops ask.
Have safe holidays.
I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society. They are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
Is a law-abiding gun owner a threat to public safety, in your view?
Thank you for that question, Senator. If the term law-abiding means someone has lawfully possessed a gun, there are often occasions that that person then goes on to commit a violent crime. If you're just saying characterize the majority of gun owners, the majority of gun owners are law-abiding.
For the ATF, an organization who is best known for Waco and Ruby Ridge, aka killing a whole lot of innocent people. Now, I'm not saying that the people at Waco, all of them were great, but you know, they did burn down a lot of children, so that's not super chill.
Oh shit, she finally blocked one. Ah, good for her. She must have been practicing. Saved a lot of makeup, probably.
Understand that if active duty military actually get deployed within the United States, that weapon is not just pointed at other people, other countries. It's pointed at you. If you do not get in your house when I tell you to, you become the enemy. Martial law.
Welcome
Welcome to the rice fields, mother.
Drop it.
You know, a lot of people that call themselves libertarians have created a lot of content over the past 30 years, and the guy we're going to talk to today has probably created more than most. Let's get into it.
From Dallas, Texas, this is Anarchast.
Greetings, superheroes. Welcome back to Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I will be Patrick Smith. Today we have a returning guest, but we're going to treat him like a new guest. We have the one and only Jack Lloyd. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Great. I am doing fantastic. Thanks, Patrick.
You have one of the intros that I love and I hate because it's so long because you've done so much. So I love it because it's so rare that we get to talk to people that have done so many things. You are the creator of the Voluntarist comic series. You've been a content producer for 10 years. You've produced content for Anarchy Ball, The Philosopher, The Honest Teacher, Red Flag Reality, Libertarian Guys with Asian Wives, which we're going to talk about. You were featured in the Monopoly on Violence documentary. You're most famous creating the creating the viral taxation is theft trend in 2016, which we also we have so much to talk about. You've been getting into music production. You're shooting and directing Philosopher's Mask Order music video, starring as lead singer in the songs I Did Not Consent and The Fed, Florida Man. Wow, man. How do you, what's with you?
I just really like liberty. That's just what more of that.
Why?
Because I'd say for a lot of my life, I was denied liberty in different ways, and I just really value a free future for everybody where everyone can actually enjoy and fully realize their creative potential. So, I think that since I value it so much, I just really want to share that love and passion with others.
I guess the first thing I want to talk about, as a content creator myself, and most of my work has been more on the philosophy and debate and figuring out the fundamental principles of liberty, and then interviewing and debating people and creating video content around that, as well as more of like the sort of out there in the real world street activism. That's where I've been focused because that's where I've seen the most the most liberty has been created there. I would like to know why you have delved into the areas you've delved into and what kind of returns you're seeing from them. Like, where do you see your success? You've created comic books. Let's start there. Have you had success in sort of waking people up with the comic books? Was that even the goal, or was that more for, the already awake people to have a good time?
Sure. With my comic series, it definitely was starting, in terms of like the content direction to be something that was for people who already like liberty. But along the way, and especially as I got to developing the mainline story, that is the canon origin story, it started to actually branch out into the indie comic sphere. So from my understanding and just conversations I've had with individuals who've reached out to me or sent me messages over time, it has gone beyond just being something that's for people who already are kind of into liberty and become something that some people who just are really interested in comic book series that are outside the mainstream norm, with DC and Marvel and things like that, and are just tired of the same old tropes, and they're just gender, or color swapping, but not really making anything new. They want to see something that's actually a new kind of story and a new kind of backdrop. So, yeah.
And so you're working on a new one now that goes into the origins of the characters. I have I think the first 3 or 4. I forget. I think it's 3, maybe 4 and I was surprised by the quality in those comics. Like I usually, like when you look at libertarian products, they're kind of like little middle of the road stuff, whatever. These are like full production quality comics. Like these are good. I enjoyed them. Like, yeah. How did you put that together?
Well, I mean, it's been a long road for sure. I started just humbly putting together a script that I thought was going to be for a film, and then eventually realizing that I couldn't really do a film right. You know, it would just take too much money, but a comic book, you know, it's a little bit more attainable. And so I just started to fundraise for that end and kept working on it. You know, obviously it wasn't all easy. I definitely made some mistakes along the way and during the first couple of issues and trying to figure things out and make it better. But I just kept going for it because it was something I was really passionate about. And I eventually got to the point where I got to the origin story that is the canon characters, you know, coming of age kind of story. And I've been successfully doing that now. I'm on the 5th issue that just was fully funded. The last several campaigns have been over 100% funding. And so that's actually being worked on right now.
Where do you get the inspiration for the characters?
I kind of just take it from my own sense of, like, I guess you could say, fantasy, sci-fi, superheroes, and things like that. I think about what I like and don't like in a lot of different series and try to work from a vantage where I'm doing what I would really like to see, you know, as someone who just enjoys that genre of entertainment. I would say that that's probably a big motivator for me is looking at those types of characters and, you know, different popular characters and thinking about what I would want to do different or better from what's already out there.
Are there any other Liberty adjacent comics out there?
Not in the mainstream. I would say most all comic book series that make it to wide popularity, even within like the seemingly more independent genres. You know, if you're thinking like Dark Horse or something like Image, not typically. I mean, a lot of people know, of course, like V for Vendetta and Alan Moore and Watchmen and stuff like that. He was more anarcho-socialist, communist-ish. But, you know, obviously he questioned government and power in his works. But I would say by and large, not too many series out there in the mainstream to, like, you know, mainstream alt do that. There are, of course, comic book series out there that are liberty oriented besides my own, but there's not too many of those, and a lot of them are defunct.
Can you hold up the comic that you had? I just want to kind of show it off for people that aren't aware, like real close to the camera, so that people can kind of see the quality we're talking about here. Like, this is a full-on legit comic, everybody. Like, you need to go order these right now. They're really cool. The links, do we get links to these in the description? Or if not, where can people find them?
So pretty easy to find them. Just go to Volcomic. That's V as in victory, OLCOMIC. So volcomic.com. That's the main website. And basically all the titles are listed on the sidebar. Like on every page, it actually has an icon for every comic book issue. You can just click it and go whatever you want. Or it's, you know, it's on indieplanet.us. You can just search Voluntarius. But again, if you go to the main website, easy, you know, breezy, it's just all right there. So, and it's on Amazon too. So if you Googled like Voluntarius, you can get some digital issues there too. But the comic is available in digital print. You can get whatever's convenient for you.
Awesome.
Oh, look, it's Ron Paul.
Oh, look, yeah. Oh, look, here he is with Ron Paul, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
we
so
hung out
cool,
with Ron Paul recently. It was fun.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, I'm trying to, like, get inside your head. What types of things should people be doing towards liberty? And what types of things do you think are a waste of time?
So for me, I mostly focus on the free market principle that I don't know what's best for any individual. I think that everyone has different talents and what they're going to be most interested and successful in. So I think that each person should just focus on what it is that they actually enjoy. Because if you enjoy doing it, you know, you're just going to really push yourself and be passionate about it, right? If you're not really enjoying what you're doing, right, it's you're not going to have your best quality work. You're not going to, you know, want to grow in it. So for me, I'm just like, what do you like to do? If you're an individual who's like, I like being outside, okay, maybe you like sign waving, you're like talking to your friends who are at a soccer club or something like that. If you are creative, then great. What type of stuff do you like to make? Do you like to make videos? Do you like to get into comic books and stuff like that? You know, whatever it is that you are most interested in, engaged in, I think that's where you can apply your passion for liberty and think about ways to either incorporate it in or reach people in that genre or in that type of a culture that you're engaged in already.
I mean, Eric July had basically the exact same advice. He's like, stop trying to focus on being the nerdy liberty guy. Go do what you do normally. Go do what you love doing and just be a liberty person in that space and watch what happens. It's exactly what Eric July has one of the largest audiences as a libertarian creator out there. And he did exactly that. He plays video games, reviews comic books, bitches about the SJWs that have infested it entirely. And he also talks a lot about liberty in the process. And it works. It works. People don't want to subscribe. I am the perfect case study. My Disenthrall channel still has less than 5,000 subscribers because all we do over there is nerdy philosophy that, you know, a very niche group of people are interested in. But look, that doesn't attract the mainstream. That's not a good way of spreading liberty. Maybe it's a good way of refining it. But what do you think about that?
I mean, I think it just matters, to what extent you're actually enjoying what you're doing, because I think nerdy philosophy also has, an important part of everything. And some people do learn more by nerding out with philosophy. And if you're impacting even just a couple people and making them more principled and making them more excited about talking to others, then I think you're doing a great thing. And I think, for me, I don't really need to judge anybody based on like how many people they've influenced or things like that. It's more about, are you doing the best that you can do in terms of what you're engaged in, what you're already passionate about. And to me, that matters a lot more. If everyone was just focused on doing the best of what it is that they are good at, or really enjoy and just get passionate about, and people get excited because they're passionate about it, I think that would just change the world. It would be great. So.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I took the position at Float, the social network, because what I'm really good at is technology. And so I'm going to do what I'm really good at. And in the process, we're going to bring liberty to the world in that area, hopefully. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. One of my first exposures to you as a person was in regards to relation to the ANCAP ball meme. Was that was that your original creation? Or was that...
I didn't create the original Anarchy Ball. That was created by a guy named Dimitri, and then I was one of the original admins with Anarchy Ball, going back to the beginning. So it was me and several other key people who were the ones producing content with them and then expanding the balls. Yeah, I grew my balls. But I did do some designs like the Anarcho Kitty Ball, Asian Anarchy Ball, Brutalist Ball, and a few other different things. And then other people down the road eventually refined it, made some more ball sets and things like that. So yeah, Dimitri was the one who started it, and he of course was doing that on the heels of like the Poland ball stuff. So it was already a popular concept of like making ball characters. So then he created that, and then other people within the group created more, and then it grew from there.
It's still one of the biggest sort of meme sets in the space. There's a ton of original like ANCAP ball memes. I'm still seeing them on Twitter constantly. So kudos to you for being involved in that. That's awesome. I think memes are like the modern language of communication on social media. There's so many good points that can be communicated and miscommunicated and strawmanned with memes. Okay, let's be honest. But yeah. What are you're involved with? You call yourself the Honest Teacher, right? Or is that something else that you run?
Yeah, so the Honest Teacher is me and my page. That's just my impression or zone when I'm doing educational things. So the Honest Teacher is just my way of trying to help families learn about unschooling, self-directed education, and getting them to kind of unravel a lot of the programming that they have from schooling paradigm and a lot of the indoctrination. And I kind of have a bit of a background in that because my dad was a school teacher for 30 years, and I myself have been a substitute teacher, public school teacher in high school, a charter school teacher, a tutoring company owner, and juvenile defense lawyer. So among all those different things that I've done in the past, it seems like you're like, how'd you do this? Yeah.
Say that again? No, say that list. What was the list?
I've been a substitute school teacher, high school teacher, charter school teacher, and juvenile defense lawyer, as well as a tutoring company owner. So
public high school?
Yes, like a public high school.
Okay, wow.
It's called 8A, so very big. Mm-hmm. Okay. I taught a senior English, University of Cambridge program as well, which included Global Perspectives, which is like a critical thinking applied course. So I got to do a lot of really cool stuff, getting certified with and trained with University of Cambridge for that. and then later on taught math from like 6th grade remedial to like geometry honors. So yeah, it's fun.
So I mean, what about that inspired you to do? Well, first of all, start with your name. Why the Honest Teacher?
Just because I found that there's so much information out there about teachers that was dishonest. And I'd say a lot of teachers are dishonest about the nature of their roles. So I kind of took on that moniker because I wanted to be very clear that, by and large, most other people talking about teaching the profession are being dishonest about the nature of their actions and what's going on with students. So I try to be very specific and avoid abstractions and generalities to just cut to the core of how children are abused and indoctrinated and brainwashed in the schooling paradigm, and what types of things that leads to in terms of outcome, so that more and more families would just really connect with that and realize, oh, okay, wow, this really is pretty bad what it's doing to kids, and encourage them to look for ethical alternatives like unschooling and self-education.
To call them dishonest teachers, like that's like a bar above just like an ignorant teacher. Like they're doing what they were told or what they were trained to do, and they're not really thinking about it. They're like unthinking teachers. What specifically do you think they're dishonest about?
Well, I think that from my own experience talking to different teachers, when you're hearing what they say behind closed doors in terms of group meetings or talking about students and things like that, I'd say a lot of teachers do know that some of the things they're doing toward students in terms of shaming and in terms of control is wrong. And many teachers will even say, I don't always agree with the system, right? But I'm still going along with it. And, because, what else is going to be out there? And I think that the dishonesty there is that they're downplaying their own harm that they're enacting when it comes to children by abstracting it from responsibility themselves. And they're being dishonest about what those consequences are in terms of, what it does to a child's psyche, which by and large, of course, over time erodes their creativity through the compulsory system and leads to their, in my opinion, for what I've observed and studied from others, developing a type of sociopathy, because they are used to having all of their wants and needs labeled as being, kind of worthless or something to be ashamed of, because everything that they need to do has to succumb to the higher order of what a teacher dictates, right? Like the idea of like, you just must obey me no matter what, because this is for the best, it's for your future, or you'll be labeled a failure. And it's so insidious and so, sinister. It's kind of, shocking when you think about it. But because it's done to young people for so long, and it's done in a way where those young people can't really, because physically and mentally in some cases not able to overcome the controls on them, it's just glossed over how much harm is done. And then of course adults grow up to say, well, I went through it, so whatever, what's the big deal? And
yeah,
they downplay
same argument for spanking. Yeah, I was spanked and I turned out fine. And also people have an aversion to ever seeing themselves as the bad guy in a situation. They're like, I'm a good teacher. I know what bad teachers look like. Think about these, they all know of like a bad example of a bad teacher, and it's never them doing bad things. Right.
Yeah, most typically, unless someone's going through their own self-knowledge process and reflecting on things they've done. Yeah, I mean, by and large, teachers are going to say, yeah, I'm just doing what I have to do to maintain classroom control, or I'm doing what I got to do to get them to pass these tests so that, they can go into high school and don't have to go to summer school. And it's the things that they say, the idioms, the mantras, and the repeated forms of just, assertion after assertion to get children to just, finally comply with what they're demanding. I mean, it really takes a toll on young people's both emotional maturity and intellectual maturity.
Have you ever talked to a teacher and woke them up? Has that ever happened?
I would say, yeah. I mean, in terms of the page alone for the Honest Teacher page, I've had many teachers reach out to me and tell me that they either did or were working their plans to exit because of my work. I've, through conversation, have gotten some coworkers, back in the day to kind of like reflect on their position, but they didn't, move too far out of where it was they were at the time. I would say it is definitely a lot harder to unwind someone in person with it. I think that I found, at least for me, using the meme format and comments and videos and things like that has had a better impact, because it really takes a long time to deprogram. Like, I mean, it's It takes a while. Sometimes you need that jarring statement, that one thing that sets you down the rabbit trail kind of thing. And I've found that often works best with that kind of viral content where you see something and you can't be unseen once you've read it, and it causes you to like question what it is that you're doing. And that's kind of what I've done with The Honest Teacher and that specific content.
Targeting a teacher, what would be a jarring thing that you would want a teacher to hear that might make them think?
Oh, I mean, if I were to do a taxation staff level thing, it'd be like, teachers are child abusers, right? And all of a sudden they're going to be on the defensive. You might think, oh, their walls are up. But I mean, just something like that. Like, what are you saying? And then you've already gotten them like engaged with trying to defend themselves and talk about it. And then where the awakening would come is not typically from the person that you're saying it to. It's from the conversation, right? So more often than not, the people who are waking up are the people who are watching the discourse. It's not even necessarily the person you're arguing with, because sometimes they're so defensive, they're so wrapped up in like defending what it is they're doing that they're not even realizing how sophisticated they're being. And then everybody else is reading the conversation, even though it's a jarring first statement, when I follow it up with reason and evidence and well thought out statements, it's like, wait a second, wow, actually, when you frame it that way, okay, you really are kind of.
Let's role play. I'll be a teacher. And you've just said, I guess public schools are child abuse? Is that what you do? What would you say?
Teachers are child abusers, yes.
Jesus Christ, are you crazy? If it wasn't for me, like, being here for these kids every day, they'd be out on the streets, like, gang banging and getting up to no good, and they'd be, like, left alone and would barely be parented by their parents. And a lot of these parents are terrible parents that don't discipline their kids anyway, and then they send them. If it wasn't for school and what I do and how much I care for the kids in my classes, and I really do care, I love these kids and I live them. This is my life. What do you mean I'm an abuser? That's insane. That's insulting.
Well, I mean, it seems like as if you're concerned about kids in terms of, you're worried about where they're going to end up with their future. But let's think about what it is that you do to keep kids, paying attention to what it is you're saying. How do you manage your classroom? What do you say to kids when they decide to, for example, read a book instead of paying attention to you?
Well, I obviously we have times during the day when we need to focus on math. And so we say, we make sure that all the people are focused on the math, what I'm trying to teach them. If they don't pay attention, then they'll be stuck, like held back, and they'll have to take the same grade over, and their whole life will be set behind a year. They'll probably have trouble getting into college, and then they'll have trouble getting employed. Like, so yeah, of course, like there's a time to read. And when I'm trying to teach math, that isn't it. What? That's not hard. That's not abuse. What are you talking about?
So it sounds to me like as if you're really concerned about their future in terms of college and success. But when it comes to their reading, what if they continue to refuse to comply with you and put the book away? What's going to happen to them?
Well, I mean, I guess we would, I don't know, send them out, like deny them recess or something? Is it just to punish them? Like, we have to teach discipline. I mean, like, one of the things that parents and teachers and society needs to instill in children is how to discipline themselves. We don't always get to do what we want to do when we want to do it, right? Like, we got to go to work to make money. We don't want to go to work to make money, but we have to have the self-control and discipline to do the things that we don't want to do sometimes, right? This is not child abuse. Like, what an obnoxious thing to say.
So far, it sounds to me like as if you think you have a right to that child's time and that you're willing to threaten them with, as you said, you want to deny them recess for reading. So already you're telling me that you're willing to shame a child and threaten them with a future, a generalization about their life, that they will be a failure because they won't get into college because you want them to pay attention to what you're doing, even though they're actually learning by reading. So isn't that kind of interesting how in the process of you being so worried about what they're going to do with math, you've already just showed that you're shaming a child, you're threatening them, and you're telling them not to read. Is that really the characteristics of someone who's a good teacher? Or is that someone who is trying to control what a child does, regardless of whether or not they're actually learning independently?
You're just picking all the most toxic words for what I'm doing that's perfectly normal. I came up in school like this. My parents came up. Look, these parents are trusting me to do this job. They want me to teach their kids discipline and to make sure that they're spending not time just on reading their books, but also on math. And that requires controlling them in that way to make sure that they divvy up their time so that they get some math and not just reading. Their parents are they want me to do this. This is my job that I get paid to do. Yeah, this is not child abuse.
Is it the parents are telling you to do this, or is there a law that mandates that children must attend schooling in your area, otherwise they will be rounded up under truancy laws?
There is a law, but that's just for the bad parents that don't want their kids to go to school or that don't care. And there's a lot of parents that don't care about their children. So those laws are for the bad ones, not for everybody. Most people want their kids to have a good, disciplined education.
So you believe that it's ethical for people, that is men with guns, police, to threaten children to come into school to hear what you have to say?
Okay, this has been really fun. I'm having a blast. But yeah, you're kicking ass, man. This is fun.
Well, that's just the point. The point is when you start to reduce the obfuscations and get into the specifics of what's actually happening, that's usually where it is, right? Because you did great in terms of doing the typical things, right? Because that's all of it's fear-based, right? That you went immediately, your mode was fear. Oh my gosh, they're gonna not go to college, they're not gonna get to the next grade, you know what I mean, right? And that's the fear trigger, is what makes someone get really anxious and want to shame and then to enact further control. So to me, it's like walking back from that fear, recognizing it, but then going through and be like, okay, well, wait, what's actually happening step by step? Let's walk that through and then think about, is that, the person that you really want to be? Is that how learning's going to be, taking place? I like making analogies too, especially with being like one meme that was a good one recently was just asking, if you were 20 years old and we're told, okay, you have to go learn for 13 consecutive years now at 20, that's your 20s up to 33, and you have to do whatever somebody else says and learn whatever they say for all those years. And if you don't, you're going to be labeled a failure. Would you be comfortable with that at 20 years old? Right. And most people actually are able to empathize with that because they're old enough at 20 and of course up to their 30s to remember and really think about their choices and be like, wait a second. You know what? I wouldn't want that. That'd be horrible if I was told I have to do school again at 20, like in that way for that long. You'd be like, holy crap. So, just little things like that like are thought experiments to help abstract it and then be like, but kids need to learn something. It's like, yes, kids do need to learn. But the question is this the only way, right? Is this the only way to have learning? And then, using that as a way to show them that there's more than one way to learn.
I've never made the connection before until now. So thank you for this, but it's very much like being drafted. And I wonder if you could draw a connection for adults. Like, how would you like to be drafted right now? Like, it's kind of the same thing. You're being told what you're going to do and what your entire life is going to revolve around day to day, every minute of every day for the next 4 to 8 years. If you're drafted, that's insane. People hate that, and it's the exact same thing.
Right. And the part to me that's I think most terrifying is that when you ask most adults, right, they can empathize still to some degree the idea of thinking through what they wish they could learn, right? It's very easy to get an adult and ask them, be like, hey, if you could choose like what it is that you wish you could have learned more about, what would you choose? You know what I mean? And most any adult can easily be like, oh, I wish I'd learned more about whatever, like rockets, or I wish I'd learned more about like different animals in the wild, or I wish, whatever it is. And I use that often too as a bridge to connect and say, okay, great. Now think about how you could learn about what you actually cared about. Imagine if you could actually have that instead of being like, no, you just have to have this one size fits all thing and that's it. Like, imagine if you could learn, about the world through that passion, appreciation for what it is that you're already excited about. I mean, wouldn't that be a better place to be? At least, and then you start to, build those bridges and be like, I don't know if we can afford that. I'm like, and then I have to go. So, I can go on forever, but
it's good. So I do parenting. So I do peacefulparentinguniversity.com, and talking about parenting from a principled standpoint is my thing. And I'm really passionate about that, but I don't really dive into schooling or teaching because I don't have experience in that area. So I'm always I love talking with people that have that other side of the ball. So, are you a proponent of unschooling or a curriculum homeschooling, or what exactly are you suggesting?
Sure. Well, for me, the thing I try to promote the most is the unschooling / self-directed learning mindset and environment. And of course, there's many different ways that can be manifested because you have homeschoolers, but they're unschoolers in terms of there's not like a mandatory curriculum. You must do this time. They just experience the world and they do different activities and learn things organically as they get older. And then there's of course self-directed learning centers where you actually can go to a type of school. It's, not really a school, but it's like a facility that has rooms for computers and music and outdoor areas and stuff. And you hang out with a whole diverse group of age kids, and you're going through your learning experience and journey, and you just have adults who act as facilitators instead of judges. So it's like, if you want to learn more about music, there's an adult who will help you with whatever you need, get you resources. If you want to do something with art, again, same thing. Want to learn, more about computers, same thing. So it's just being an environment where young people are supported in their passions instead of being told, you must do this, class for 2 hours today and then, 2 hours tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So it's, but again, in that model, it's not anti-class. And I'm an academic myself, so I like academia. So it should be noted that unschooling and self-directed learning is not a rejection even of like academic learning. It's just choice. So if some kid's like, I want to take some night class for math, 3 times a week. If that's what they want, great. You know what I mean? The point is not to be like, oh, no curriculums at all, or no this or that. It's just no force in that. No, you must do this, or you're shamed and you're a bad kid, you're going to work at McDonald's. It's just about saying, hey, what are you interested in? Oh, if you want to go take an instrument lesson, great. If you want to go and study up on how to code and there's a class for it or whatever, great. It's not meant to be something that pigeonholes kids into saying, no, you have to be anti-academic. It's just about choice and learning. It's about freedom to learn. So
I now understand what it's like to interview me. So when I go on other people's shows and they're like, what do you have going on? And I list off like 20 things, 20 different projects that I'm working on. And so it's like we have to like divide up the show into a bunch of little chunks. But that's what it's going to be like, because you have so much cool stuff going on. So before we, let's bookend that. Where can people find more information about your Honest Teacher content?
Most of these days just on Facebook, facebook.com// The Honest Teachers with an S at the end. I think someone had already taken the first one. And there's a YouTube for it too. Like if you just Google, or YouTube, The Honest Teacher, I have, videos there that I produced over time, different kind of summary educational videos and memes, stuff like that. And they get shared in different places, but that's the main places where I do it.
Okay. Let's do some fun stuff now. And
sure.
You're going to have to explain yourself on this one. I'm just saying. So let me hide us for a second, and let's get this up here. Okay, so here we go.
Tax.
Oh, what's happening?
Tax.
Come on, YouTube. YouTube. There we go.
Tax.
Not going to do it?
Tax.
What is happening?
It went. It's the Fed.
Yeah, it's like, are they on to us here? He said tax too many times, everybody.
Right.
What is happening?
Say it 3 times while clicking your heels, the IRS shows up.
Oh, now we didn't watch enough ads. That's the problem. Sorry, YouTube. Okay. All right. Sorry, everybody. I should add this. Oh. We're just not going to be able to watch this. I don't know what's happening. Seriously?
Yeah, we're working on this. No, that's weird.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Okay, well, there's a link in the description. Are you serious? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. Hold on. Let me just try Let me try and refresh this. Sorry, guys. I didn't expect the world's largest video platform to not work.
Tax.
What is happening right now? Okay, this is not my internet, I swear. I have a gigabit fiber internet connection. I don't know what's happening.
I got good internet too, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I should have had this downloaded and queued up or something.
Tax.
Oh, now it's funny.
Tax. Tax.
What is happening right now?
Tax. Tax. Taxation. Tax. Tax.
You know who you look like? You look like Dr. Disrespect, the video game streamer. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, some people have said that. It's pretty funny. He's got a little different mullet than me, but I like his mustache. It's great.
Yeah. So,
taxation. My main is fully auto. My aim is right on track. And if you say taxation, I'm gonna say it's theft. I'm
Okay, explain yourself. What did we just watch?
So it was just a fun little video. As I produce music with fun, we do a bunch of different types of styles and genres. Like we intentionally try to goof around and do like liberty-oriented songs in different music styles. So I I really want to do like an EDM kind of techno-y song. So I made Taxation set to the song, and then I just kind of dressed very Euro with the tight pants and the mullet and the glasses and stuff, and just goofed around, danced a bunch just to have a little fun with it.
And the point is to just have fun, right? That's the point?
Yeah, just having fun with it and just, get people to laugh and enjoy it. I mean, obviously the song is literally talking about taxation being theft, so it is a little insider ball, but it's funny though, it might get someone's attention, otherwise they're like, what the heck? But
that's a repeating theme in your videos.
Yo.
They just seem like, you're not trying to take yourself like super seriously. You guys are just having a blast.
I know
oh yeah,
fuck the mask order and the new world
okay.
order. Fuck the mask
this one is a little serious.
And the new world order. Fuck the mask order and the new world order. Hang the pedal politicians and their state enforcers. First a lot about the Rona, said not to worry. Then they shut our world down and bribed us with their own money. When they opened up again, the lies didn't end. As the death count started to fall, the story changed again.
And demonetized. No, dude, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. That one's really fun. It's doing overall pretty well in terms of like getting more viral traction. People are really excited because, I mean, obviously people really don't like the shutdowns, lockdowns, and mask orders. So people have told us they've been like blaring it out in like LA County and stuff, like, out of the back of their car, like blasting it. But yeah, it's just a fun way to like get people to realize that they're not alone in thinking that everything that the government's doing is just absolutely insane. And that's a part of what we do with our culture pieces, is also just telling people, hey, you're not alone out there. Guess what? There are other people who are like, yeah, this stupid and ridiculous, and screw them, screw the government trying to like tell everybody that they have to like end their whole lives and just hold up in their house for, a year and not do anything. I mean, so...
Trenton in the comments says you got to do a country song next. It's got to be titled "Government Took My Pickup Truck." Oh, you have one? You have a country song?
I have a country song. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really funny one too. You'll laugh if you hear it. But I think it's in the list I sent.
It is? Oh, let me find it.
No, I think it's like the last one I sent you.
All right. Let's see. Well, while I'm looking that up, check this one out. This is a recent one.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down. Getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down, getting down. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down, getting down. Lay up in the party, ooh, Tom Wood's house. Everybody chillin', ooh, Tom Wood's house. Bob Murphy grilling too, Tom Wood's house. Michael Malice killing booze, Tom Wood's house. Gold level spraying, go with Super Saiyan.
Is that the Tom Woods microphone? Is that the one he uses?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's really Tom Wood's house.
he had a party for his 2000th episode or something like that recently, where you were at, right?
It's time to help people cut.
Just a house party for fun. That was a supporting listeners thing. But the 2000th episode event is October 16th at the Rose and Shingle Creek in Orlando. So we'll be there having a good time, and it's going to be a crazy event. Like, from what we know, it's going to be an event to rival like Freedom Fest, Pork Fest, and maybe the Ron Paul Fest of 2012 and stuff like that. So definitely get tickets because they're free. Like the main event, there's going to be a magic show, there's going to be games, it's going to be really cool. And then if you want to go to some of the more exclusive stuff before, there's like a few other meets for supporting listeners. But the actual main event, the tickets are no cost. Obviously, you got to drive or fly or whatever you got to do to get there. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, last one, and then we'll get back to... Well, actually, we won't get back to serious stuff. Here we go. This is the country song, right?
That's country, yeah. We're going to do a music video for this one in 2022.
What you really need is a good Florida man by your side. Amen. Heading down to Florida, heading down to Florida, heading down to Florida. That sunshine on my view. Heading down to Florida, no, I can't live free. Hey, arm, I lift the truck. Nobody's stopping me. Gunshine on my mind. Real in the tone.
That's pretty good, man. Like you're embodying the styles appropriately. That's pretty good.
Thank you. I tried to.
Do you write them yourself? Do you have help? Like, what's the process for that?
Yeah, so I pick out the tracks and I write the songs typically. Sometimes, helps here and there with certain lyrics and things like that. We practice. And then once we think we got something solid, we'll go to our studio. That is, we go to a professional studio and work with our close friend and sound engineer who works there to record, master, and get it all, wrapped. So it's quite the process, but it's a lot of fun.
Is it expensive?
It depends on how poor someone is, but I don't think it's expensive.
Okay. Is it something most people could do?
I think most people could probably afford to do the music and the sound recording stuff. I think the tough part is the ear for what's good in terms of tracks. Finding a good engineer, like someone who can really master the song well and knows how to work with you. And of course, writing lyrics that are, entertaining and catchy. That's, kind of its own independent skill and can take some time to develop if you're not naturally inclined that way. So
you're a baller is what you're saying. All right, I got you. All right, let's talk about, is it Liberty Guys for Asian Wives? Is that what it's called?
Libertarian Guys for with Asian Wives. Mm-hmm.
What is that? What is that?
So I, for fun, created the group just because I was like, man, there sure are a lot of libertarian guys with Asian wives, me being one of them. And I was like, what the heck, this could be fun. So I created, branding for it and created a group and a page. And then in the process of making a few memes, for some reason, it triggered the right people and it went viral. And then all of a sudden I was getting a bunch of hate mail and people talking about it in media channels in other countries. And there was some other YouTubers and stuff who were doing reviews or throwing shade on Twitter and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, thanks. I'll take the boosting. But in the process, through the memes and the entertainment, I actually started to get a bunch of people who joined our group. And funnily enough, we have many guys in there, several hundred guys with Asian wives who love liberty, and it keeps growing. And oddly enough, on my friends list, almost every other week, I'm like, wait a second, you have an Asian wife too? And then, come on to the group. But it's a very common trope, and it's just a lot of fun. So we're a bunch of guys who love liberty, and we just happen to have wives who are also Asian. So it's funny.
I have noticed that trend as, first of all, amazing branding, by the way. Excellent job. Did you draw that yourself, or did you get it looks like your comic book guy did or something. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, no, I had I did a picture. We did a pose thing and set up the shot to kind of help guide them, and did some other stuff in terms of just layout, but then hired an independent artist to do the final render in the vector.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed the Asian wives trend as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have multiple viewers that have either Asian wives or girlfriends. Why is that? Why is it a trend? Why is it a thing?
I think there's several different reasons, but the ones that come up the most to me would be that I personally find that you're more likely to have and it depends too, because obviously there's differences among different subsets of East Asian, and whether you're born in America or they're born over there. But you're more likely to find a girl who is loyal in that genre of culture. It seems to be something that is I would say even going across the different subsets of Chinese or Korean or Japanese or and so on and so forth. If you're from Thailand or Filipino, whatever, there's definitely more of a family oriented culture for sure that's shared. And so if you're actually long-term oriented, want a family and kids kind of person, and you want someone who's going to be loyal, there's just already that kind of backdrop, right? Where if you have that cultural backdrop of oh, I want a family, I want to be together, I want to make it work, that's an attractive, mate attribute. In addition, there are a lot of libertarian guys in our group of all different kinds, shapes, and sizes. Of course, we have Black libertarian guys, Hispanic libertarian guys, Asian libertarian guys. We run the gamut in there. But there are a lot of light-eyed guys, of course. And the Asian ladies do happen to like light eyes. It's just another common trope.
Why are you so racist is my next question.
Yeah, exactly. I love getting that all the time. And these are just like some of the superficials, right? They're just superficial elements of attraction, just like anything else. Like what makes someone beautiful? Like why do you like how they look, right? We can talk about different features or symmetries and whatnot. But there seems to be a kind of a mixture there. Now, of course, historically, we have in America a unique experience where military guys were over in Southeast Asia for different, maybe not so great reasons, right? We have Vietnam War, Korean War, Japanese occupation. So there is a historical backdrop of American soldier guys, going over there and knocking up a girl or finding a woman and stuff like that, and then they come home. So you do have that historically. So some people, I think, conflate libertarian guys with that. But I think the libertarian guys grouping does still stand out. And there is, as you've noted yourself, like there is just a large number of libertarian guys with Asian wives. I think another common trope there too is the I think appreciation for like logic and reason. There's definitely I would say a trend. Again, it's not, of course, not everybody. There's definitely plenty of irrational SJW Asian girls out there, but I think there's just more of a trend that you'll find Asian girls who are interested in critical thinking skills, logic, reason, and things like that. I think there's a lot more girls who are in the STEM fields too, who are Asian, and naturally libertarian guys tend to like talking about philosophy, ideas being reasonable and rational, right? So again, just superficial demographics aspects, there tends to be a appreciation of that, or at least and a tolerance of that you may not get in other cultures or peoples and stuff like that. So again, it's something that is just about the superficials of attraction, right? It doesn't make anybody better or worse as a human being or whatever. It's definitely just camaraderie and fun and what we're having and just a shared experience. And the guys in there, we like share recipes and like what our wives do, and some of the wives connect like and talk about their backgrounds and family, where they came from and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
So I have to talk about this channel because this is what blew up Naomi Wu right after, I think, like when this big controversy happened. We don't have to talk about this if you don't want, because I didn't check with you beforehand. So I want to make sure that you're cool with it. But what I was proud of is precisely how you handled this entire controversy. You know how to ride the wave of fucking hate from these idiots. To boost your ideas, and that's a skill that most people don't understand yet. How to use social media, fuel your ideas, fuel your reach by the engagement of the haters. You did excellent, and so you caught somebody with like at the time like 1 million subs on YouTube. Woo! You pissed her off with this Asian thing, though. She's very much under the thumb of commie China. Anyway, can you tell us that story, and maybe I'll just try and roll some of her crap in the background.
Sure. Yeah, she was just one of the people who was like commenting about Legao and like was talking about it on Twitter. And what was funny is that in many of the criticisms that these people would give, they'd be like, "Oh, you're just objectifying and fetishizing and all this other nonsense." And it's like this girl literally like puts like light up butt plugs, in her pants and like has her boobs hanging out for views. Like, what I mean? Like, what I mean? When you talk about objectification, when your name is like Real Sexy Cyborg and your like whole shtick is like, I'm going to be like borderline pornographic to get views, and you're going to talk about objectification. It's kind of a hard platform to other. I just love like, yes, this is totally about engineering. You know what I mean? As it's like her melons are about to pop out. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, obviously, as a libertarian guy, I don't care that she does that. I have no problems with her doing what she wants to do. I just think it's hypocritical and kind of funny to have the finger pointing when you're literally using objectification as your monetization for yourself. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, we're like talking about our wives. Like, it's libertarian guys with Asian wives, not Asian hoes. So
shots fired.
Right? So it's like. We're the ones who are just saying, yeah, we love our wives. Like, these guys have kids. Like, we're not here like even like saying we're just trying to like get a bunch of girls and like have an orgy or something. It's just guys with their actual monogamous relationships of all the things. So it's really one of those ways that I like getting under the skin of SJWs and stuff like that, and the third waivers plus or whatever, that I like using identity politics, race, and other types of superficial things to bait them into revealing their true character, right? So in other words, when I use it, I'm using it in a celebratory or benign way, and then they come out and turn it into something that characterizes all Asian women as being submissive, or they have no independent thought or autonomy, like as if they can't choose relationships, you know what I mean? And make it seem like as if they're just being, held under the thumb of a vicious white colonizing man or something like that, even though it's libertarian guys, not white guys or whatever. So it's just a great way to expose the actual prejudices and actual bigotry that many of these people who call themselves tolerant left progressives, and I say it in the statist fashion, they like to say that they're all like caring and empathetic about people's different situations, but in reality they actually have some of the biggest prejudices against other people and stereotype and characterize and demonize people and essentially strip people of any sense of self-autonomy that they might have, like in their own identity, like the idea just because you're an Asian girl, you can't choose to be with a libertarian guy. It just must be manipulation. Must be a mail order, right? So, exposing their hypocrisy and their bigotry is a little pastime.
And really, really fun to watch from the sidelines, by the way.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. And, I was familiar with Wu because I do a lot of electronics work, and I had known her channel existed. It was never any good for actual, like, learning much of anything. I just knew she existed. And then she just came out with these super bad takes on this simple group it was like a wholesome group promoting families, like whatever, obvious. Yeah, it's great. Okay, so there's two more things I want to talk about. The next one is COVID. Specifically, actually, so that we can talk freely, we might need to kill the YouTube channel. We'll see how that goes. But guys, if you're watching on YouTube, stop it. There's a link in the description for the Odysee video. We're live streaming over there right now. Go check it out. If we need to get to a point where we turn off YouTube, sorry, we're just going to do that because I value the discussions that we can have on this channel more than I value YouTube's platform. You guys, please support us on alternate platforms. Okay, end of spiel. So, COVID. You and Kinsella had an interesting... Stefan Kinsella is an intellectual property lawyer that I've spoken to many times, and who I respect a lot. He's done a lot of amazing work. He recently came out on Twitter, kind of fed up with libertarians trashing other libertarians for taking the jab, choosing to get the vaccination. Correct me if you think I'm mischaracterizing him, but I think that was pretty much his thing. He was kind of fed up with the sort of infighting and the shaming around, and a lot of the misinformation around the vaccine. There's quite a bit of misinformation out there on all sides. And I think you took some issue with that, and the back and forth was informative, but I wonder if maybe we could just kind of get into that. What are your thoughts on the vaccination in general? Let's start there.
It's like, and this is where YouTube gets cut.
Okay, all right. Yeah, goodbye, YouTube. I gave you your warning. I'm turning it off. We're going to be over there with the adults on Odysee. Here we go. Goodbye, guys.